What's going on, everyone? Alex here. One of the things that I like talking about is how games are often made, and Final Fantasy XIV, being one of the games that I play on a regular basis, has some choice behind-the-scenes stories to tell. For this video, I'm going to talk about the circumstances surrounding the creation of Good King Mog XII, and how a real-life calamity brought players closer together than ever before. To set the stage, we need to go back to March 2011. A massive 9.3 earthquake occurred off the coast of Japan, affecting a huge portion of the country and creating massive tsunamis in its wake. The event would later be known as the 2011 Tohoku Earthquake, and would be the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in Japan. Meanwhile, miles south from the epicenter, the Final Fantasy XIV team, led by producer and director Naoki Yoshida, were busy preparing the next set of updates for the ailing title. During this time, Final Fantasy XIV was undergoing a massive transformation. Not only was the team updating the live service with new content, but they were also creating a brand new engine from scratch. This engine would later be known as Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. When the Tohoku Earthquake hit, however, the Square Enix offices were hit with frequent aftershocks and blackouts. Families of the Final Fantasy XIV team were affected by the calamity, and some of the team thought it safer to stay in the office rather than risk heading home. Yoshida-san thought that pursuing further development of the game was not appropriate given the situation, as he believed that it was more important for the team to make sure their family was safe. Before they're developers, they're human beings, Yoshida-san added. The massive tsunamis that hit northeastern Japan slowly chipped away at Fukushima's nuclear power plant, scaring the entire world with a potentially powerful nuclear meltdown that could have huge ramifications to the world at large. Because of this, electrical power was in scarcity all across Japan, and as small as a team they are compared to the rest of the country, the Final Fantasy XIV team tried to think of ways where they could help. At that moment, the team decided to power down their servers for a certain period of time. The team felt bad, given that it meant that their players would be unable to play, but it was the least they could do to help the country bounce back from disaster. After the brief outage, Yoshida-san started receiving letters from players. These letters told the stories of countless of players talking about how they were able to get in touch with their friends and loved ones affected by the calamity through the game itself. Phone lines and other means of communication were down in Japan, but just by logging into Final Fantasy XIV, they were able to make sure that their friends and relatives were safe and sound. But as Japan picked itself up from the ashes of Calamity, and the development of Final Fantasy XIV continued in earnest, the team faced a new challenge. At the time, the development team were working on two primals. Primals are epic boss battles that are based off of previous Final Fantasy summons. These primals just happen to be Titan and Leviathan. Titan was an earth-based primal with an ability called Earthquake, while Leviathan was a water-based primal with an ability called Tsunami. Given the recent events, the team could not, in good conscience, release these primals so close to the event. It's at this point that the team scrambled to find an alternative to release. In a recent interview, sound director Masayoshi Soken revealed that, during that time, the only models they had created were Moogles. The entire team then began to think of ways to make the fight happen, crafting the lore, the mechanics, and every facet of the fight in record time. Soken remembered that longtime series composer Nobuo Uematsu had composed a Moogle theme for the game, so he took it and drew inspiration from the Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack to attempt to turn the song into a more sinister version. Interestingly enough, the song still sounds cute and silly, and if you've been listening to the song playing in this video just now, you're listening to that version. While the developers have not explicitly said it, the calamity that ushered in A Realm Reborn might have been inspired by the events that unfolded, and it's my belief that the developers felt that the memories attached to what occurred during this trying time needed to be represented in the game. The story of Final Fantasy XIV's reaction to this tragic event is a reminder that while the experience of playing video games can be fun and enriching, that it can often be so much more. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever used a video game to do something outside of what it's known to be used for? If you do, please consider sharing your thoughts on the comments below. Also, if you like Final Fantasy, Yakuza, Warframe, or other RPG and co-op games, please consider subscribing to the channel and click that bell icon so you'll be notified of my latest videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in Eorzea.